Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. It has been a torrential couple of months in the Wuthering Waves space, and of course one of those big talking points like a month ago was that 2.8 was quote-unquote boring. Or rather was going to be boring thanks to Genazad saying that everybody said it was boring even though the patch wasn't out yet. However, we are now officially in Phase 2 and we are a couple weeks away from 3.0. And before we start to move on to 3.0, I did want to give my 2 cents on the patch as a whole, because I normally do that and also tie it into the whole boring narrative to finally put it to bed. So how this normally works is I will review a patch based on its story, events, characters and areas, new areas, and any other bits that they've added. So yes, let's get into the patch review, shall we? First up we have the story. Now, of course, 2.8 had 2 stories. Well, it had one main story and one seg. Now, again, I reviewed this already, but I'm gonna say it now. The story was pretty good. I feel like it had a lot of mature themes. There were a few areas that it lacked in, but obviously, you know, that's to be expected, especially in a patch where it's before 3.0. So, all in all, the story was pretty decent. I cannot remember what I gave it in my video, but I will use that rating in this one. So yeah, I just looked it up and I gave them an 8.7, which I feel like is very fair for both stories, because of course the first story dragged on a bit and the second story really tied it all together. In my opinion, it made a lot of Cheese's sort of woes a lot more understandable and real in a way, and gave more impact to that. So yeah, I really did like this story personally, but rating it objectively, I'd give it an 8.7. So again, the reason why I'm rating these things individually is because I'm going to basically do an average, right? What I do in these review videos is I do an average of all the ratings of every category, all have equal weighting, mind you, and then that will be the patch rating, basically. Ladies and gentlemen, it's sellout time. This video is sponsored by LD Shop. This super handy website is a safe and reliable way to get your top-ups, battle passes, and monthly cards for less. LD Shop covers lots of games like HSR, ZZZ, and of course, my favourite, Wuthering Waves. With these games, you can get guaranteed 5-star bundles and top-ups for a discounted price, meaning that you get more bang for your buck. To top up your Lunites, simply follow these instructions. First off, select your item, then click top up to proceed, apply your coupons and then select a payment method. Once you've paid, submit your game account details. Then the LD Shop team will handle the top up for you. Make sure not to log into the game during this process. Once the process is complete, they will log out and wipe all login records. And once that's done, you'll receive a notification. Make sure to log into your game afterwards to check if everything's there. And enjoy! If you're still unsure about privacy issues, you can always change your password afterwards for that extra peace of mind as well. And if you're an avid spender, you can bind your LD Shop account to your Wuthering Waves account for more convenient future purchases. For those who register using my link in the description, you'll receive a 15% off coupon with no minimum spend, and a cheeky 5% off bonus coupon from me as well, racking up total potential savings of $50. And for all the whales out there, if you spend $80 in a month, you can claim a free Lunite Subscription. Be sure to claim it on the homepage if you're eligible. Once again, if you're looking for a safe and reliable way to top up your account for less, use my link and use LD Shop. Now, back to your regular scheduled programming. So yes, on to the events now. We didn't get that many, however, I feel like it was sufficient, especially for a 5-week patch. Now, there is a bit of controversy going on in the gacha space with regards to Honkai Star Rail and its 8-week patch. An 8-week filler patch, by the way, that was supposed to have 2 events, but then they added a 3rd one for compensation, right? Now, in my opinion, like in my personal opinion, that is way too little for 8 weeks. Because if you think about it, in Wuthering Waves, we got, I think, at least 3 events. Right, we got Stranger Things in Hanami, which I actually really liked, by the way, guys. I don't know about you, but I really like Stranger Things in Hanami. Then we've got the, the lottery event that's going on right now, and we also have the Lahai Roy event, which is kind of for 3.0, but of course it's, it's in the patch, so I'm going to have to add it anyways. But yes, we have 3 events, and then HSR has 3 events, and the patch is 3 weeks longer, but whatever. I'm not going to say anything. Make of that what you will, I suppose. To give the events a rating, I really like the lottery event. Like, the UI is really nice, and I really like just peeling the stickers off of the tickets. I don't know why, I just find it really satisfying. more satisfying than the hamster in the wheel or like doing the little squares on the maps. I really like peeling those tickets, I'm not gonna lie. It's really fun to do. The Wuthering event is cool because it just gives you a bit of extra, like, I guess, teasers about Wuthering, but if you kind of know in the loop, then you kind of already know the stuff that's going on. But still, it's nice, it's cute, it's quaint. And it does tie into 3.0, so I have to give it extra points for that as well. And of course, let's talk about Stranger Things in Hanami now. I was going to make an individual video on it, but I'm just going to talk about it in this video. Briefly, anyways. I think Stranger Things in Hanami is very interesting because on one hand it gatekeeps the map exploration to combat-only areas. However, the areas themselves are so well made, they're so well designed, the lighting, everything. I think the combat elements, they took elements from the 2.3 anniversary event and made them better. Genuinely, I think that this event should have been what the anniversary event was, kinda. Because you've got auto-equip on your sort of like stat boosters, so you don't necessarily have to be sorting through them all. Basically, you go into a hostile Hanami and get out with what you can. I don't know what that's called. I'd call it like a smash and grab style game mode, but genuinely, I found it really, really fun. And of course, the longer you stay in it, the harder it gets. I feel like that is just a super cool concept, and I think they executed it at least pretty well. I wouldn't call it like the best event ever that they've done, because that has to go to like Depths of the Elusive Realm or something. But so yeah, with the events being pretty solid, pretty good in my opinion, I will have to give the events category an 8.7 out of 10. Yes, that's two 8.7s now. On to the characters now, and my god, guys. Chisa is one of my favorite characters in the game, just from her design alone. However, obviously with the story and stuff, it made her character a lot better, but of course that rating was for the story. How does she play? She plays pretty well. I do like her kit. Her kit is pretty good. She's obviously not a main DPS. She's a sub DPS slash third slot negative status character, so I have to take that into effect. If I was being subjective here, I would rate the characters 10. Like, I would just rate it a 10. However, she is a future unit. So, with that, I'm going to have to dock at least half of one, 0.5. So, I think just plainly, I'm just going to have to rate the characters a 9.5 out of 10. Because holy cook did Kuro cook. And again, we're getting Linne in like the next patch. We're getting Chisa, Linne back to back. They're literally scratching that itch in my brain right now. Now, on to areas. Now, this is an interesting one because, of course, we've got basically two new areas, technically. We got the sort of the sanctuary in Hanami, you know, like the cafe where the nightmare nest is, stuff like that. And then we've got the Stranger Things in Honami, sort of like the bigger Honami area. Now, again, this is double-edged because the area is so good, but you can't explore it, like, properly freely, right? You're exploring it under pressure, at least in some capacity. But holy hell, does it look good. I'm saying this is one of the best areas that Kuro Games has ever made, man. They really just took to their PGR roots with this and just made it look so good. Honami is definitely my favorite area. It definitely is. The vibrant colors, the greenery, the pink cherry blossoms, fucking weeaboo kawaii bullshit. It is so nice. So with that double-edged sword in mind, I'm going to rate the areas a solid 9 out of 10. I'm doing -1 point because of the lack of sort of being able to explore, like, freely anyways. I appreciate that you can sort of explore it in parts in Stranger Things in Hanami, but I would rather just be able to explore it and, you know, unlock chests and puzzles and all that stuff like normal. I do appreciate what the event did, though, don't get me wrong. I do find it quite nice, so yeah. With that being said, it is time to finally give a final rating. Now, if we add up the values and then divide by 4, because we have 4 different categories, the patch rounds up to a 9 out of 10. Or rather, an 8.975 out of 10. I'm going to put 8.9 because I think a 9 is just slightly too high. But was this patch boring? No, it wasn't, right? Because you had a decent-sized story. You've got a decent-sized main event. You've got events sort of being dripped Phase 2 has come out and it didn't feel too long, right? It didn't feel like an absolute eternity since Cheese has come out. And 3.0 is now just around the corner. The patch is basically almost over. If you want to describe the way the patch actually was, you could say it was dry, but not boring. The patch may be slightly dry, but not boring. And there's a difference, guys. You have to note that there is a difference between the two. Boring means that nothing excites you, right? Not Cheese, not the story, nothing. Dry just means that there are dry spells in the patch, like we did have a few dry spells, but was it boring? No. So yes, I think an 8.9 is very fair for this. I think 2.7 came out at like an 8.7 or something. It came out a bit lower purely because of the events aspect. It completely dragged it down. But now, this time, it is a lot better. But yes, what do you guys think of 2.8? Do you guys think that my rating is fair? And I'll see you on the next video. Goodbye for now.